Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Tandatula Sofa Safari. I will be your guide today. It was great having Luke back in action in the previous episode, and I'm heading out there with my trusty tracker, Momo.
Hi everyone!
Yeah, we'll see how many drives this one takes. I'm not going to lie, it has been quite tough out there the last couple of days. I felt it the last episode I recorded and then filming with Luke. The big game just wasn't playing along. That is the bush for you, but as these episodes show, it's not only about the big stuff. So we'll stop and enjoy whatever comes our way. So we'll kickstart the Savia. It's quite warm, and then we'll carry on in tomorrow. It is scheduled to cool down. Wind is going to pick up. Chance of rain tomorrow evening, and then we're still getting all these episodes recorded before Cyclone Eloise hits us, although present reports are suggesting that she's going further north towards the southern bits of Zimbabwe and northern Kruger. So we'll get rain, but fortunately from our point of view, not the floods that we were expecting. But yeah, come along for the ride and let's see what the Timbavati has to offer us today. Now, for any of our Joburg viewers, you're probably not going to get overly excited about this bird in frame now. And this is a hardy-dar ibis that my tracker has pointed out for me. Just picking around in the soft soils for insects and worms. It is a interesting bird, very noisy bird, and if you live anywhere near them or they live anywhere near you, you know all about it first thing on a Saturday morning when you're trying to sleep in. Can you impersonate the call? Getting a head shake there from Monique. She cannot impersonate the call. I won't even try. But very loud, very squawky, and they defecate everywhere in your gardens, which is a bit of a nuisance. But always nice to see something new on our sofa safaris, and this is one that has not made an appearance yet. The hardy-dar ibis. A new bird for us here. The wood sandpiper, just making use of one of these temporary pans. Also a summer migrant and probably one of the more common waders that we find during the summer months. Out and about here looking for invertebrates, aquatic invertebrates on the shoreline. A wood sandpiper. It's so nice to see these herds still grazing out in the very green long grass. I mean, you can barely see those calves above here. So they're coming in 6-7 weeks old. The oldest cubs, the youngest ones, maybe 4 or 5 weeks old. And it's been probably a difficult time for them. As they've grown, so has the grass. So they probably haven't actually got to see much of their world, especially when they spend their time out in these open grassy areas. They are probably looking forward to the day when they are taller than the grass. It is the season to be fearful of spiders, it seems. We have our golden orb web spiders out in absolute force this summer. Now for those not so loving of our 8-legged cousins, I'm sure you'll remember our episodes from last year that featured them, and I can tell you they'll probably feature quite prominently over the coming weeks and months because they are honestly everywhere. It's difficult to put into words just how many are walking around here. Well, they're not walking around, they're stuck in their webs, but there are thousands and thousands and thousands of them. Every bush off the road has them. It's just one of the consequences of a good summer full of rain. Great for all this life, and this life brings the bird life out, and it's just the whole knock-on effect when you have good rains, how this place can just explode with all forms of life. And to make sure that the spiders don't get her while she's tracking in style there, she has her spider stick.
Trust me, they're everywhere over the road, so this is really quite necessary if I don't want them landing on me, because they are huge and they're creepy. So yeah, this is my protection.
Excellent.
Oh. You're getting this on camera, stop it. I've upgraded my stick to a longer one.
It's got definitely greater reach there.
Yes, and it's a lot lighter, so...
Your arms aren't going to get sore.
Yeah.
There we go. She's got a ninja stick.
I do.
So my tracker has pointed out our first big game sighting of the afternoon. A small breeding herd of buffalo feeding out on the green open areas, grassy areas here in the eastern sections of Tandatoula. Always a bit of a rare sight when we see buffalo, but now that I think about it, I seem to say that a lot. They have definitely improved. We are seeing more buffalo now than we were a year or two ago, but they're far from what they were. It's a small breeding herd, a couple of females and young hidden amongst the bushes and the grass there, but yeah, very, very small. I don't know if there's maybe more on the other side of the hill, but they seem to be just a group of maybe 20 odd. Still have that one herd of around 200 that's hanging out in the west, maybe more, but it's always so difficult to count these things unless they are actually in an open area like this. But even now you see me not knowing for certain how many there are. But look forward to the end of this wet cycle, and hopefully their numbers have rejuvenated enough to increase their populations once again here in the central Kruger. Couple still lying down in the grass there. You can just see that one's boss sticking out above the grass in the bush. And two males, well, one male mounting another male there. It is seen very regularly amongst buffaloes, where these, particularly the younger males, are asserting their dominance. Some oxpeckers landing on there that actually look like some yellow-billed oxpeckers from this distance. I'll possibly have to use binoculars or zoom in, but by the calls they were making, I suspect some yellow-billed oxpeckers. But slowly starting to rise. We are going to leave these buffaloes be and carry on. We're very close to, well, I keep saying the lion den site, now seemingly the old lion den site. These lions, as I mentioned in my previous episode, I do not believe are denning here. We haven't seen a sign of them for the last 5 days now, so it's a bit concerning for us to not know where they've gone, but I'm persisting, checking the southeastern corner, hoping that some sign of them shows up. Anyway, hope they leave a sign for us. My mind is going, not knowing where these lions are, but we're going to go check out towards a couple of water points in the east and hope that they have left some evidence, just so we know roughly where they are. Can't imagine that they would have moved far. There's not a great deal of better denning sites in this area than this Mishashan riverbed, and they definitely don't seem to be along its course. So they may have moved because of the rains and the potential flooding of this river. After the last rains, maybe that was when the mom moved the cubs, but we just do not know for certain. Very, very well hidden, right in the middle of the frame there. My tracker spotted a scrub hare. Well, it was moving when she spotted it. She's got good eyes, but that would have been incredible. But yeah, you can just see its eye sticking out above the grass. The ear's flat down, hoping that if it remains dead still, we're not actually going to notice it, and we will carry on. It doesn't know that I'm sitting pointing a camera at it. It just knows that I'm here and I have to sit dead still. I'm not coming any closer, so in its mind it has not yet been spotted. And we're going to leave it that way. Don't want to disturb it anymore. It's still very early in the evening for one of them to be out and about. They prefer coming out after dark, using the cover of darkness to move around grazing on the grass. There we go, a scrub hare's eye anyway. So here we have a sweet thorn, it looks like. Vachelia carew. Yes, Vachelia carew. And what made me stop and pay attention to this one was the proliferation of seed pods at the very top of the tree and nowhere else. Now this is something that puzzled me 2 years ago, and I haven't been able to find an answer. I think I did bring it up in one Sophus Forest. If anybody out there does actually know, please let me know. But my understanding is that seeds and fruits come from fertilized flowers. So if you have a tree like this, whose flowers are also going to be quite enjoyed by the giraffes, they're not going to get fertilized and have seed pods or flowers growing where the giraffes are feeding, because they'll be eaten, and therefore no seed pods where the giraffes are feeding. And if I look at this tree, the only place that the seed pods are still available are at the very tops of the tree. So is that because the giraffes ate all the flowers, or is it because the giraffes have already eaten all of the seed pods that are within their reach? But yeah, if anybody does know, please, this is me being lazy, ask rather than asking Google, which I did try, couldn't find. I'm asking you folks. So if anybody can leave an answer in the comments below, that would be most appreciated. Thank you. No comment. The tracker's no longer on the tracker seat.
There's just too many of them. I can't.
There was one. That was one too many for Momo.
I still have my stick though, just in case.
That's in case I misbehave and she's going to just smack me on the head. Giraffe?
Yes.
See, now we haven't got a tracker, I have to spot the animals.
You were keeping me?
It's a female giraffe, and as I was about to say, I doubt she's on her own. I can see the head of another couple poking up to our right hand side. It's getting towards night time now. The sun has set. I had very good intentions of completely avoiding the east tomorrow because it hasn't treated us too well of late. I only see here now that there's a pack of wild dogs at Mashatan Dam, so I will be coming back first thing tomorrow morning to look for them. But before I close off this evening, I just want to wish Jess and Martin a very happy first anniversary. They got married with us here at Tandatula underneath these beautiful sycamore figs this time last year. Wow, how the world has changed since then, but I hope that their love hasn't. I hope they're still very happy, and just from all of us at Tandatula want to congratulate you on your first anniversary and hope you still have very, very fond memories. We do, not only of the wedding but also the incredible story of the priest on his way to your wedding. But yeah, we will be heading out tomorrow morning. I say we, I mean I, because Spider Lady will not be joining us. She's had enough spiders in her life for the day. And yeah, let's hope that those dogs hang around a little bit longer so you can see them in this episode. See you now. Quite a change in weather from when I finished off last night. There was not a cloud in the sky. Now we've got this blanket of cloud. There's a thin layer on the horizon that may make for an amazing sunrise. The wind picked up again, but this is no doubt the first of the weather systems moving into this area from Cyclone Eloise. Zebi's waking up outside my house. We are not expecting floods. We will have a river flowing, I have no doubt about that. But yeah, the rain is about maybe, as I said yesterday, 100 to 200 mils, which is great, but not flood proportions. So we'll see how accurate our weather predictions are. But dogs, that's what we're out here for. So we're going to just scratch around. They were left heading in the direction of camp. I'm sure they will be around in this cloudy weather. Perfect for them. Which means they will be active, they won't get tired. Could cover big distances, but increases our chances of seeing them because they're going to remain active for longer this morning. So fingers crossed. Pretty incredible watching those colours grow like that and suddenly just disappear. So in my last episode I spoke about a zebra foal with a broken foot and an injury on the back, and I wrote it off because it wasn't with the herd. Well, good news is he's still alive. Bad news is that that foot still hasn't healed. This is him here on the right. So you can see, can't put any pressure on it. And you can see on the right edge of the rump that red wound, which that's not the problem, that's going to heal nicely. But still with his mom, still doing okay. Again, with the lions not being around here, that's not a concern. It's more going to be things like hyenas that would see that as weakness and push and persist. Luckily they have got some very protective adults around, or it has got some very protective adults around it, but unfortunately odds in nature do not favour the survival of individuals like this, but we will keep positive and hope that maybe this guy can make a miraculous recovery. There is that other very little one that we saw the other day. Still got the brown tinge to its coat. Oh, I started out that drive so eager to find wild dogs, and it's now just an hour later and seen a couple of tracks from where they probably were last night, and not much more. There are a few other vehicles in the area checking with me, but none of us are having any joy getting a direction. Just an elephant, evidently. Okay, we have a little bush over here that is standing out at the moment because of a little fruit that's growing on it. Okay, this is called the smelly white berry bush, and very clear to see why it's called the white berry bush. I'm still trying to work out why it's called the smelly white berry bush. With these little clusters of simple leaves, and this time of year becomes very pronounced because of the presence of this fruit. This tree hasn't got a huge number, but they were very noticeable about a week ago because they were covered in these. This is a tree that we see mostly growing along the riverbeds and the drainage lines. The fruit are fairly edible. A bit of sweetness in them. The seeds are a bit unpalatable. It makes it quite bitter. If you just eat the flesh around it, they're fine. This tree is used quite extensively medicinally. In Tanzania, I've read that they will use the roots and the fruit as a treatment for snake bites. So, because I'm standing in this ridiculously long grass, maybe not a bad idea to have some fruit on hand. Locally here, the roots are used for all sorts, from contraceptives to curing sterility to rheumatism to a whole lot of other things that I'm probably not going to mention on here for the younger viewers. But yeah, the smelly white berry bush, it's making me a bit peckish now. Yeah, it's really not bad. These ones are a lot sweeter than the ones I was eating last week. Delicious. Flugia verosa, for those that prefer the Latin names. But yeah, there we go, another bush. Yeah. I think what you missed there was me spitting that out. That's terrible if you bite the seeds. Don't eat the seeds. Just eat the flesh around it. Quite a few seeds in there. So get the flesh, not the seeds. They're not delicious at all. These fruits are slightly more profuse in this bush growing here on the riverbed. You can also see some of the insects, these beetles that are making use of the trees too. The fruits, eating them. Loved by the insects. This is an incredibly beautiful beetle that I found on the whiteberry bush, feeding on the fruits. Look at the iridescent rainbow colors on this guy. Stunning. It took a little while, but the dogs were eventually located this morning. Definitely the benefit of having extra eyes and ears out there. It is our most regular pack, our pack of 13, and by the time they were found at about 6:30 this morning, they were already settled in the Sharulumi riverbed, just north of our camp, maybe less than a kilometre from our bush breakfast, so not too dissimilar area to where we saw them on their last visit into this area, which was almost 2 weeks ago now that I think about it. I was going to say last week, but it's pushing on 2 weeks since they were last around. Well, not a week and a half. It was just before last weekend that they were here. And yeah, they've settled. They have once again got a hyena keeping them company. The hyena's just resting under a small jackalberry in the shade, maybe 10 meters from them. Dogs are alert, they're awake, but not a great deal of activity going on. Looking at some of them, it does appear as though they have eaten this morning. There's blood on their faces, one or two with really large bellies, others not so much, but I imagine that they got an early start to the hunt, had some success, and then there's no reason to really go carrying on. So come and rest here for the day, and then this evening resume being the incredible predators that they are. This hyena, as we've said before, but it's got to rest somewhere, so might as well rest close to the dogs and be the first there when they get going in the afternoon. Follow them and hope that they make a kill that it can either steal or at least gets scraps from. There's no animosity. They're here now, they're resting very peacefully together. When the dogs get up and move and the hyena moves with them, it's a peaceful thing. The only time that it becomes less peaceful is when there is food involved. And that's when the hyenas are actually going to make a go for not the dogs, but for the food, and the dogs are going to try and protect it, and they go and attack and bite these hyenas, and it sounds noisy, it sounds terrible, but it's very superficial. The hyena knows that there's very little risk to it. Very, very few records of the hyenas actually succumbing to injuries that are caused by dogs. I've seen a couple of photo series of dogs ripping apart hyenas, but that's not their intention. It's really just to say, hey, get away from our food. If they weren't happy with one another's presence, they wouldn't be lying like this together so peacefully in this riverbed. So it's a very tranquil scene, and I have said it before, we'll say it again, but it bears repeating just what an interesting relationship these hyenas and wild dogs have, and it's something that I am growing to love more and more. The more I see it, this pack in particular seems to be in constant company and presence of other hyenas, following them around, resting with them. And I wonder if that's not part of the reason for their continuous movement, because it's seemingly at the moment not due to lions, at least not here. Another day without any sign of the river pride. But yeah, the hyenas, although they're not responsible for many dog deaths, they definitely are a nuisance when it comes to feeding. But when it comes to sleeping, it's like shacking up with an old mate in a sleepover kind of sense before you get any ideas. I'm quite sure where that dog's wandering off to. If it is a toilet stop, then he's very shy. He wants to go far away from the others. Possibly seems to be a trendsetter though. These dogs are slowly starting to get up and wander off. Maybe the realization that there's not a great deal of shade there. The sun is starting to poke through. Maybe up towards a mud wallow or a water hole will be a better bet. Okay, so despite it being quite late in the morning, I mean we're now 10 to 9, these dogs have got active. I don't think it's going to be a hunt. I think it's more just looking for a cooler place to stay. Beautiful clouds, so shade is not that important, and maybe a water hole. I think they are feeling it because of a good meal this morning. Breaking down that food is going to generate some heat. But there's some nice mud wallows just in this direction where they were heading to, so let's go see if they're heading up to those. That's exactly where they have come. You saw it on the previous occasion when we followed them, how much they enjoy, especially when they're on a hunt, just flopping down in these natural pans and wallows. Not afraid of water. Well, not afraid. They'll always be cautious, especially if it's a bigger dam where there could be crocodiles, but otherwise they're quite happy to jump in and cool down, as this one on the right of the screen is doing. It seems as though their purpose was literally just to come and splash around a bit. Even the hyenas come to see what's going on. Literally like having the 5th beetle. He's the 14th wild dog. This guy. Great, so these dogs have gone back down to the riverbed. I'm not going to go back in there. I think they have now gone to rest. So we will leave them be. Mr. Hyena still smelling around. Alright, so we're going to start making our way back to camp now. I'll pop out again this afternoon if it's not raining. Get the last few finishing touches for the episode. And maybe see what these dogs get up to this Savi. Maybe a little bit more action. Action is all I want. Never good at filming it, but it's what I like to see. So we'll come check on them a little later. Hello. We're back out the Savi. I thought we'd come and spend some time with these dogs while they are around. And they've just got active now, approaching Impala Dam. Go into the water. Brief attempt at an impala, but majority of the pack has decided just to hang around Impala Dam. I'll regularly do this, just chase some impala, see what's going on with the herd. Are there any easy targets? If they all look fit and healthy, then they leave them alone. If they find a weak one, a straggler, and they go for it. Hyenas have arrived on the scene. Getting excited about the prospect of some food. Some vigorously scent marking, possibly where the dogs urinated or defecated. Same way that dogs do. Similar behaviour on top of the hyena dung. While following the dogs, Licky's obviously spotted them and ascended a tree older near Letty. Don't believe the dogs have seen her. But she's got the perfect log. That's the perfect log you expect to find a leopard on, but never do. Until you've almost given up hope of finding leopards, and then they seem to pop up. So thanks very much, Letty. And she turns, you can see her characteristically droopy eye and ripped ear. not for Nioleti's sake, but for ours. It's a pity the dogs didn't see her. It's always a wonderful interaction between dogs and leopards. And we mentioned last time these dogs were here how Nioleti's son Shigordo tried to stalk them. The dogs ran away at first, but he promptly got sent scampering up the closest tree once the dogs realized it was, in air quotes, only a leopard. Picture perfect pose, old Nioleti there. What a tree to choose. So sometimes elephant damage does work in our favour. So we've very much left the wild dogs. They ran no more than 30 metres past her here. Just saying to Monique, it would have been incredible if they had actually seen her, because they would have gathered around the base of this tree, jumping up. She would have been very aggressive on the top there, because it would have been maybe a little bit too close for comfort, even though nowhere near her. And it just would have made for the most incredible scene. As it happens, the dogs carried on, so our plan of spending the afternoon with them to get some action was thwarted by the beauty of a leopard. But I mean, hey, you can't complain about this for a setting. Possibly going to win the prize for my best closing sequence ever in now 64 so far. But I am going to be saying cheers. I'm glad that we did come out the Sabi to get a little bit more wild dog activity, and particularly this girl behind me and that girl behind me, let me not forget. But hope you have enjoyed this episode. It was a little tougher out there, especially with not so many cars out. It's really feeling like lockdown again with the number of vehicles out, and us being the only one or two friends giving us a hand. But I hope you've enjoyed, and I will see you again very, very soon. I'm taking a couple of weeks leave, but you won't even know that, because we've recorded enough episodes to keep things going until I'm back. So look forward to being back in the Timbavati, but until then, I hope these memories keep you entertained and longing to be in the bush, because we can't wait to have you back here. So keep well, everyone, and until next time, cheerio.